When I stepped through that door, the first thing I noticed wasn't the chandelier or the laughter, it was the silence that followed me in. The way their smiles faltered for half a breath before reforming into politeness. I could smell judgment disguised as perfume. My son's wife, Clara, was the first to speak. "Oh, Mrs. Hale, you made it," she said, eyes flicking down to my worn handbag. "You didn't have to dress up." "Dress up," I smiled. A beige cardigan, shoes that had seen better years, exactly the look I intended. Her parents were seated at the table, polished and proud. Her father, a corporate lawyer with too much money and too little warmth. Her mother, a woman who looked like she'd practiced disapproval her whole life. My son, Daniel, looked nervous. Maybe he knew this dinner was a test. He just didn't know who was testing whom. I'd told him I'd been laid off, that retirement hit me hard, that I was barely scraping by. I'd watched his pity, felt it like acid. My own son, believing I was weak. But I let him. I wanted to see who they were when they thought I had nothing. Years ago, when Daniel was little, he used to sneak into my office, spinning on the leather chair while I worked late. Back then, I was building everything: contracts, clients, power. He'd watch me in awe, asking, "Mom, how much do you make?" I'd laugh, "Enough to keep the lights on." That was all I ever told him. I wanted him to value people, not numbers. But somewhere between college and marriage, he started confusing wealth with worth. He stopped calling as often. Then came Clara, charming, ambitious, all teeth and calculation. I saw it in her eyes the first time she shook my hand. She was hunting for status. And Daniel, he was her perfect prey. The first time I realized he'd started hiding things from me was subtle. A missed visit, a deflected question about money, then a financial transfer from his account that matched a down payment on a house I had quietly helped him afford years ago. He'd told Clara he'd earned it himself. That stung, but not as much as what I overheard one evening. Clara, on speakerphone, laughing with her mother. She thinks she's being generous, but honestly, she's just a charity case now. Daniel feels responsible for her. Poor thing. Poor thing. I remember turning off the light that night, sitting in the dark, heartbeat steady. I wasn't angry, not yet. Anger clouds judgment. I needed clarity. The plan came to me like a whisper, simple, quiet, precise. I adjusted my investments, shifted assets into trusts under a different name, and let my company's new CEO, my trusted protege, take public credit. My monthly salary, still $40,000, went untouched. To the world, I was retired and modest. To those who mattered, I was invisible power. And when Daniel invited me to dinner to meet Clara's parents properly, I said yes. At the table, Clara's father bragged about stocks. Her mother compared travel itineraries. Daniel kept refilling their glasses, desperate to impress. No one asked me a single question beyond small talk. Then dessert came, a rich tiramisu, served by Clara herself. She smiled too wide. "So, Mrs. Hale," her mother started, "Daniel mentioned you used to work in an office." "Just some consulting," I said. "Small projects, mostly to keep busy." "Oh," she nodded. "Well, that's admirable at your age." At my age. I stirred my coffee, let the bitterness settle on my tongue. "Actually," I said softly, "I recently sold my firm." Daniel looked up, confused. "What firm?" "The one that handled the Jefferson merger," I said, meeting Clara's father's eyes. Recognition flickered there. He'd lost that bid to my company last quarter. We closed the deal last month. Quite profitable, really. The room went still. I reached into my bag and laid a thick envelope on the table. "I brought something for you, Daniel." He hesitated, opened it, his face drained.
Inside were documents, proof of the trust funds I'd established years ago. One in his name, another in his future child's, both still active. But one detail stood out. Clara's name was absent, removed 2 months ago. I thought I'd transfer them fully, I said, but then I realized it wouldn't be fair, not to someone who sees me as a charity case. Clara's mother stiffened. "What's the meaning of this?" I smiled. "Oh, nothing dramatic. Just a mother ensuring her son's future isn't dictated by people who measure worth by handbags." Daniel's voice cracked. "Mom," "I'm not angry," I interrupted. "Just disappointed that you never looked beyond what I chose to show." I stood, calm, final. I wanted to see how you'd treat someone who had nothing. Now I know exactly how you'd treat me. I left before they could speak. Outside, the night air was cold, sharp, cleansing. The next morning, Clara's father called my assistant trying to schedule a business meeting. I declined, politely. Daniel came to my house 2